Hi everyone, happy Sunday. Welcome back to my kitchen. Thank you so much for joining me in this live cooking class tonight. I'm very excited to be sharing this really easy recipe with you because we're taking some shortcuts tonight. We love falafel, right? Who loves falafel? I love falafel, but to make falafel from scratch requires a lot of time and preparation. So if you want a quicker way to make falafel, you're going to be really excited about tonight's recipe. This was one of the brands that I recommended that you pick up. This is the Ziyad brand. You didn't have to get this one. This is just one that I always see at the grocery store. So whatever brand you are using, there are likely similar instructions. And so all we're going to do is mix this with water, let it hang out for about 15 or 20 minutes while we prep excuse me, everything else, and then we will be underway with the falafel. So give me a wave, a hello if you're tuning in. Let me know if this is the first time that you're tuning in. I'm just going to pull up the comments so that I can see everybody who is on and if you are asking any questions. So you can use this time if you're cooking with me to go ahead and get out all of the ingredients that you need. As you saw, I've posted a few times on our Facebook page what ingredients that you need for this. Just to give you a little reminder, obviously the falafel mix, tomato, cucumber, and mixed greens, any kind of fresh dill or parsley or fresh herb that you might have on hand, some plain yogurt, feta cheese, couscous, or any other kind of grain that you have on hand. And I believe that's the majority of it. Yeah. So go ahead and get those things out. You're also going to want a large saute pan, one of the largest ones you have, as well as a small pot to cook the couscous. And then as always, a cutting board and chopping knife. Hey, Jean. Oh, yay, you guys are cooking with me tonight. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. I'm impressed too that you're not just completely exhausted and you don't want to cook right now. Although I saw like on your Facebook page that your little one is a month old, and I was thinking to myself, gosh, I can't believe it's been a whole month. I'm sure you feel the same way. So congratulations. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is get the falafel going. So whatever mix you have, go ahead and read the instructions to see what your ratio to falafel mix is going to be. Just curious, Jean and Drew, which one did you guys find? So mine is mixing 1 cup of the mix with 3/4 of a cup of water. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. But again, go ahead and check your box out and see what it says. And what I love about this mix in particular is that it's got all whole foods and just spices in it. There's not any additives, preservatives, fillers, anything like that, which usually is pretty hard to find with a boxed or processed food. And I'm sure some people are wondering like, oh, how is that healthy? But I'll read you the ingredients on the back of this in just a second. Oh, cool. Okay, you guys got the same one. So it's going to be 1 cup of mix and 3/4 of a cup of water. And I know that probably seems like not enough water when you put it in there, but that's okay because you want the mixture to be pretty tacky and more like a paste, because we're going to shape these into patties. So I guess kind of envision, if you were going to make hamburgers or something like that, your hamburger patties wouldn't be full of liquid or anything. Okay, so the ingredients, as I was saying, on this box, ground chickpeas, ground fava beans, spices, spice blend, minced onion, garlic, baking soda, salt, and sesame seeds. So all ingredients that we recognize and know. So that's why I like to use this as a shortcut. Okay, so we're going to let that hang out for about 15 or 20 minutes while we get the rest of our stuff going. Hey, Tim. Good to see ya. Thanks for joining. Do you love falafel? Let me know. You like falafel. Okay, so we're going to let this guy hang out. This is our falafel to be. And then the next thing that we'll do is get our couscous going. So, love couscous. So nice. They named it twice. Have you ever cooked couscous before? If not, it's one of the easiest grains to cook. It's actually technically a pasta, if you didn't know that. If you're worried about carbohydrates maybe, or spikes in blood sugar, you could find a whole wheat version of couscous, which would have a better response on your blood sugar, wouldn't spike it as high, and would have more protein and fiber in it. But I will say, this is packed with 6 grams of protein per serving, which is just a 1/4 cup dry. So there's lots of protein in here already, which is going to kind of blunt that spike in blood sugar that you might otherwise see. So with the couscous, we're just going to boil water separately. Once it comes up to a boil, we'll turn the heat off and then pour the couscous in. So you don't actually cook the couscous in water. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So we're going to do a cup of couscous and a cup of water. Go ahead and get your water in the pot. And then at this point, you can always season your couscous a little bit if you want to. I'm going to turn the heat on. And I'm actually going to season my couscous as well. So what I'm going to do is pour just a little drizzle of olive oil in here. Just maybe like a teaspoon. I'm going to do just a little pinch of salt. Try not to over salt it because you've only got 1 cup of water and your couscous will absorb all of that, which means it will absorb all of that salt. So if you go a little heavy-handed on the salt here, you're going to have some really salty couscous. And then you could add any kind of spices that you want. And I know I didn't put this spice on the ingredient list, but za'atar is a Middle Eastern spice blend, which is oftentimes used with falafel. A lot of times in Middle Eastern cooking, they'll like spread this on naan. It's really good. You could do oregano, rosemary. You could do any kind of spices that you have on hand. So I'm just going to do a little spoonful in there. That's probably, I don't know, 2 teaspoons. And then we'll let this come up to a boil. And then we'll pour the couscous in. Hi there, I'm not sure if I've had a falafel. Ooh, says Cook With Me TV, which is probably one of our former cooks on the show / dietitian. I don't know which one it is though. Let me know. Falafel, if you're not familiar with falafel, good opportunity to explain falafel, is essentially chickpeas mixed with spices and parsley, pattied up and then deep fried. We're not actually going to deep fry them tonight. We're going to lightly pan fry them just to not use as much oil and then also to not fry. So what we're going to do is use a little bit of sesame or olive oil in our pan, patty up the falafel, and then just pan sear them until they're crispy on each side. Okay, so we've got our couscous water going. The next thing that we'll do is get our tzatziki sauce going. So for tzatziki, we're going to use some plain yogurt. We're going to use some fresh dill, or you could use parsley, or really honestly any kind of herb that you have on hand. We're going to need a little bit of salt and pepper. And most importantly, some cucumber. So let's go ahead and start by chopping up our cucumber. We're also going to use part of this cucumber for our salad. So all we really need for the tzatziki is going to be roughly a 1/4 cup of chopped cucumber. Some people don't like the seeds in their cucumber. If that's the case, cut it in half lengthwise and then scoop out the seeds with a spoon. I do not mind the seeds, and I don't want to do the extra work of getting the seeds out. So I'm going to just keep them in. So what I'm going to do is make one long cut lengthwise. I'm going to do another one right next to it lengthwise on either side. And basically what we're doing is just looking for a dice of the cucumber. So however you can arrive to a dice is going to be perfect. There's no, really best way to do anything, whatever is easier for you. And so now what I'm going to do is lay those 2 flat pieces down on top of each other and come through and cut some really thin strips. I think I can smell that, the spices in the water boiling already. And then come through and cut it into a dice. And then we'll go ahead and do that with the remainder of our cucumber. Although I think this is actually 1/4 cup. So I'm going to save these 2 end pieces of the cucumber for the salad. So again, like I said, roughly 1/4 cup is what you're going to want. Let's check that water real quick. Oh, Tim, not a big deal. I saw that you, it says your actual personal name and Cook With Me. That's weird. Anyway, I think you would like falafel. Okay, so yes, water is simmering / boiling. I'm going to turn the heat off of this. And then what we're going to do, hopefully your water is boiling as well, we're going to dump in 1 cup of our couscous. And then we'll give it a little stir. And then we'll cover it again with a lid and just let the couscous soak up all of that liquid. Seriously, the fastest grain ever cooking. Put that lid back on and let it hang out. And if you're ever in doubt with the ratio of water to couscous, you can look at the back of your couscous container because it'll tell you on there. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so back to the tzatziki. So go ahead and get a bowl to mix the cucumber and yogurt and all of the tzatziki ingredients with. I'm going to grab a bowl over here. And this one is a little too big, but it's glass, which is good for you because then you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so go ahead and put those cucumber bits into that bowl. Wonderful. Then what we'll do is get out our dill or our fresh herbs of whatever we're using. And I'm going to start with just 1 pretty big sprig of dill here. And I'm going to cut off the stems because we don't need the stems in here. And you can actually, if you're working with fresh dill and you've never worked with it before, this is what it looks like. I don't know if that's a good picture or not. And so what I do is just pick these little guys off of the main stem, and we're just going to chop up all of those little, it looks like hair, the hairy bits. We're going to chop the hairy bits. I love the smell of fresh dill. I feel like dill is usually saved for seafood or fish dishes, but it goes so well in like yogurt sauces. Okay, throw that right on top of your cucumbers. Wonderful. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and add 3/4 cup to a cup of plain yogurt. I am using a plain Greek yogurt. I like the Greek yogurt because it's thicker, and I just like that consistency, especially for sauces, because you can always thin them out. But if you buy a regular plain yogurt, which is typically a little runnier, softer, you can't really thicken it up. So that's why I like the thick stuff, because if you want to thin it out, you can always add water or lemon juice. Okay, like I said, about 3/4 cup to a cup. That looks pretty good. And then we'll go ahead and add a little bit of salt and pepper. And the longer this stuff sits in the fridge, the better it tastes too. All right, and then we'll just mix this all together. And I think I am going to add just a touch of water to thin it out. Just like a teaspoon or 2. Yeah. You could add a little citrus in here too to give it a little bit of a tang if you want to do lemon or lime. That's always good. You know, I think I'm going to add a touch more dill, just a little bit. And I know Drew and Jean are cooking with me tonight, so you guys just let me know if you have any questions along the way, if I'm going too fast, too slow. Let me know. Okay. Ooh, yeah. This looks good. Nice tzatziki sauce. See, pretty easy. Just a few ingredients: yogurt, cucumber, dill, salt and pepper. You could add a little feta in here if you wanted to make it a little cheesy. That would be nice. Not technically traditional tzatziki, but who cares? If you like it, do it. Okay. Now, since we've got our cutting board out, let's chop up the cucumbers and tomatoes that will go in our bowl. So this is these are going to be falafel bowls. So in addition to the falafel, we're going to place them in a bowl that also has that delicious couscous, a little bit of a mixed green salad with some tomatoes and cucumbers and kalamata olives, and then the falafel with the tzatziki sauce. So we'll go ahead and chop up the rest of our cucumber. I'm just going to continue on and do like half moon shapes since I've already got my cucumbers cut that way. But just cut enough for, you know, however many salads you're going to be making along with this, or, you know, the salad within the bowl is what I mean. We're not making additional salads. But if you're serving, you know, 2 people, maybe you want to do a little bit more cucumber than this. You're going to do a little bit more. Yes, Diane, no cilantro tonight. You know, it's so funny because I always think of you now when it comes to cilantro. And I was thinking about tonight's recipe, and I said to myself, gosh, is there any cilantro tonight? There's no cilantro. Diane will be so happy. There's no cilantro next week either. And next week is pumpkin mac and cheese, which I have to say, I did another round of the recipe last week. So good. It's so creamy and delicious, and you get both the like cheesiness and the delicious pumpkin-y-ness in the mac and cheese. And if you're thinking, wow, pumpkin mac and cheese sounds really strange, I'm not so sure, you have to try it. You can't knock it till you try it. Hey, Evan, how are ya? Okay, next are going to be some tomatoes. We've got about 4 tomato plants of our own, but then we also have a neighbor who has been growing so many tomatoes, and she keeps bringing them over. So we're like overloaded with tomatoes. So it'll be nice to use some of these up tonight. So I'm just going to cut these into wedges, sort of mimicking the cucumber shape here. Cut them however you want to eat them. If you have cherry tomatoes, you could just slice them in half. Oh, they look so good. Wonderful. Okay, so we've got that. And then your kalamata olives. You don't have to cut them if you don't want to. I think I'm just going to leave them whole. These guys are packed in olive oil, so I'm just going to wait to go through these until I actually need them for the salad. So we'll let those sit here. If your olives have pits in them, you will definitely want to remove the pits before you throw them in your bowl, of course, because there's nothing worse than trying to eat an olive and you crack your tooth on a pit. Not fun. Okay, so it's time to do the falafel. So this is the fun part. So what we're going to do first is head over to the stove and get out your big saute pan and drizzle either olive oil, sesame oil, whatever kind of oil that you have on hand. Do about 2 tablespoons of olive oil or whatever oil you're using, and then turn that pan to about medium heat. I'm just going to finish this sesame oil. That was about 2 tablespoons, roughly. And we'll let that come up to heat, and then we'll grab our falafel mix here. And so this should be ready to patty up. I'm trying to find my spoon. I'm gonna clean this spoon off real quick. And so traditional, well, I guess I shouldn't say that because I'm not entirely sure what shape traditional falafel is in, but every time that I go to a Middle Eastern restaurant, the falafel are in ball shapes, so they're spheres, and they're deep fried that way. We're going to do more of like thick patties because the ball shape just doesn't cook as well in a pan like this. It's just deep frying will cook a ball shape better than the pan frying. So we're going to do a patty. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to patty them up and drop them in as I go. You could patty them up ahead of time and put them on a baking sheet or a plate or something like that, and then throw them all on. Just kind of depends on how you want to do it. And then again, with the size, like just make it whatever size you want to do. I'll show you the size that I'm making it. So it'll be like this. I'm trying not to make them too thick so that they won't take too long to cook. And I'm going to try to make them all roughly the same size. Again, because I want them to cook at an even rate. So for those of you who are just tuning in, we did use a falafel mix for this. They are not made from scratch. Hashtag time saver. And just to explain a little bit of the process of homemade falafel, you start out with dried chickpeas, so not even canned. You start out with the dried chickpeas, you soak them overnight to just slightly soften them up, and then you put them in a food processor with all of those other ingredients: parsley, garlic, onion, any kind of other herbs and spices, maybe some sesame seeds. There are some sesame seeds in here. So it just takes a little bit of forethought, right? Because you got to soak the beans the night before. And you got to get out your food processor, put all the other ingredients in there, pulse it up so that it's not a paste, but that it's more of like a crumbly mixture that will then hold together. Hey, Jacqueline, good to see you. Oh, Jean, our mix is still a little runny. Should I add more mix to it? I would just let it sit a little bit longer. If you followed the 1 cup of mix to 3/4 of a cup of water, it might just need a little bit longer to soak up all of the liquid. So I would do that. If you add more mix right now, you'll just have to wait even longer. So whatever you want to do. You know, that's actually happened to me before with this mix, where we followed the directions, but it was still a little runny. And it's probably because the mixes differ from batch to batch. So maybe the box that you bought just had maybe less of the bean, either the fava bean or the chickpea. So it wasn't able to absorb a lot of the water. Nice. Get one more. What is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I'm getting 9 patties out of this, which might not sound like a lot, but honestly, like 3 or 4 of these guys will fill you up, along with like everything else that we're having. So this would be a good amount for 2 people. I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse. And then this is a very, very important part. You don't want to start scrolling through Instagram or Facebook at this point and then totally lose track of what you're doing, because you will burn your falafel. We don't want that to happen. All right, I'm trying to find my spatula here. Definitely going to want a spatula to flip them. So I just try to remember which one I laid down first as the one to start with, which is this guy. He's sticking a little bit, but he's nice and brown on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and flip him over. Ooh, yeah. Sometimes you get some crumbs come off. Sometimes they fall apart. No big deal. I'm going to give these guys a couple more minutes before I flip them over. And so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 bowls to start putting our bowls together. I'm sorry that your guys' mix is taking a little bit longer, so I might finish a little bit ahead of you, but that's okay. After you finish the falafel, then all you do is assemble the bowl. So pretty easy. Let's see. Let's get some bowls out. And so what I'm going to do first is get our spring mix in here. You could do lettuce, you could do spinach, whatever you like. Kind of put it on one side of the bowl. It's got to share the bowl with everything else. Okay, cucumbers, tomatoes, and olives on top. This is going to be so good. I'm so excited. Trying to enjoy the last of tomato season. Okay, get a couple of olives on here. Looks good. All right, I smell those falafel. I need to go ahead and flip the other guys. Looking good. Ooh, yeah. Nice and golden. And so the other fun meal that we like to do with this, in addition to the bowls, is to actually make pitas. Or you could just buy the pita at the store, and you put all of the same bowl ingredients, but in your pita, top it with the tzatziki sauce, and it's just so good. I did that one, I think. I did a class on that last year. Maybe I'll bring it back because it was so delicious. And if you're interested in how you would make your own pita at home, what I usually do is kind of another shortcut is to buy the pre-made pizza dough balls that you see at your grocery store. They're usually in the bakery section in the cooler. So you would just cut off, I believe a pound of the dough gets you about 6 to 8 pitas. So you would cut from that big ball 6 to 8 little pieces of dough, roll them out like they're little mini pizzas, like a circle, and then put a little bit of oil in your pan, put the pita in the pan, and then let it cook that way. And so it'll fluff up to a nice, fresh, warm, soft pita that you can then cut in half and then slit it open in the middle and then stuff it with all of these same ingredients. It is so, so good. Okay, let's go ahead and check out that couscous. So Gina and Drew, you guys can definitely check on your couscous and see how that is. It should have soaked up all of the water, and you should be able to use a fork to kind of fluff the couscous. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry guys. I didn't switch the camera angle. So yeah, you just kind of come in here with a fork because sometimes it's all clumped up together from the water that it soaked up. Oh, so good. Love couscous. And then we'll just add this to our bowls right next to the salad. Yum. Okay. And I didn't really talk too much about dressing your salad, but use whatever dressing you want. I actually have some leftover balsamic vinegar made from last night. Really simple. I just put olive oil and balsamic vinegar in a Tupperware or a jar. Shake it up and then dress your salad. Super simple. You could just drizzle some regular olive oil and some balsamic vinegar on top as well. I feel like I'm not seeing all of your comments, so if I'm not responding to you or answering your question, I do apologize. Like I said, Facebook sometimes freezes up on me and I don't get to see everything. Let me just double check. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and dress these salads. Very good. And then let's go ahead and take the falafel off. These guys are done. They don't take long to cook. Ooh, they're so crispy on the outside. Oh yeah. So I turned my pan off. I am gonna leave them in the pan just to keep them warm. Drew and Jean, how you guys doing? Did it start to thicken up for you at all? The falafel mix? Hey, Sarah. What's going on? Falafels. Okay. And then we're just going to put some tzatziki sauce right in the middle here. We're still waiting on this falafel mix. Well, this is not good PR for the cooking class. Just kidding. Like I said, sometimes we have that same trouble with the mix where you have to wait a little bit longer than normal. So just give it another minute. Are you able to post a picture of like how runny it is? Can I see it? It's more thick, but still not quite done. I swear I mixed the correct amount. That's okay. Like I said, sometimes we've had the same problem. If you wait like 10 more minutes and it's still too runny, I would agree with you to add more mix in there to thicken it up a little bit. Sorry that it's taking longer than it should. Okay, I'm gonna add this tzatziki sauce to the middle here. And again, you can add any other kind of toppings to this that you want. Roasted red peppers, avocado, whatever you want. So this is it, y'all. Our super easy falafel bowls. I'm gonna dig into the falafel here. Sorry, Jean and Drew. Oh, they're good. Crispy on the outside. Oh. It'll be worth the wait, you guys. I promise. I promise. This is probably torture watching me eat it in front of you. Well, like I said, if anybody else has trouble with the mix, first things first, make sure you follow water to mix ratio, which she did. But sometimes it still ends up a little bit too runny, probably because the mix ratio that comes in the box is a little different than the previous batch. So just give it some more time, about 10 minutes. Add more mix if it's really just not thickening up for you. And like I said, after that, you guys, you just make the falafel and then assemble your bowl, so you'll be good to go. Let me know how it turns out. I hope it all comes out well in the end and that you're able to enjoy it. Okay, good. You're getting close. You're getting close. Good. Okay, well, that wraps up tonight on Cook With Me TV. Jean and Drew, if you guys want to like text me a picture or post it on our Facebook page, I'd love for you to share your meal with everyone else. Thanks again for cooking along with me. Do it again next week. Like I said, next week is pumpkin mac and cheese. So for those of you out there who still have not cooked with me yet, do it next Sunday. It'll be so much fun. It's mac and cheese for Pete's sake. And we're adding a pumpkin flair. There's a little bit of pumpkin spice in there. So it has this really, what sounds to be a strange flavor combination of sweet, savory, and spicy, but it all blends together so well. So I hope that you join me next Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time for that cooking class. I will post the ingredients tomorrow so you can get everything that you need together for cooking with me. And yeah, join me next week. Okay, good. It looks awesome. We are super excited. Yay! I'm super excited too. Well, good luck cooking those falafel. Watch them so they don't burn. And I will catch you guys right back here next Sunday night. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a wonderful work week. See you guys later.